A lot of pregnant women find out that our pregnancy is really 10 months, not those 9 months we're sold. And we only think about it at the point where we're tired. We probably feel fat, we're probably bloated, overwhelmed, stretched, uncomfortable. We find ourselves counting down to that due date. In this time, we prepare ourselves for the baby by buying them clothes, diapers, a baby cot, toys. You can even find yourself moving house because your current apartment might not cut it with a new addition to the family. For me, those 10 months gave me the time to go through a roller coaster of emotions and mental states. By the time my firstborn came, I had cried all the tears that needed to be shed. I had bought everything that I could. We had prepared our family, friends, and ourselves for her arrival. A lot of us get this time. The preparation might look different for many parents, but some form of it happens. Now imagine how different your journey would look if you didn't get this time. If one day you woke up thinking you probably had a terminal illness, only to be told that you'd be a mom in 1 month. This is Mama Tale Season 3. I'm your host, Sally Kuria. Did you know that there's a community built around this podcast and that you can be part of it? Head on over to our website, mamatalespodcast.com, to join. Being part of the community means that you will receive our newsletter, which features personal essays from me about my experience as a mom, as well as interesting deals, events, and things that I believe might be beneficial to you. In the latest issue, I shared about how parenting impacted the friendships that I had and how I grew out of resentment to the point of understanding. You can find that issue linked in the show notes of this episode. You can also follow us on social media at Mama Tales Podcast on Instagram and Facebook. And I have also been playing around with TikTok, and I must say it's definitely been interesting. So if you prefer that corner of the internet, make sure to check us out. And before we get into this episode, I want to thank you so much for voting for me. As I shared earlier, I have been nominated for a Rising Talent of the Year award for the upcoming ABBA Awards, which will be happening in September. So I still don't know if I got it or not, but thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to share that nomination, to vote for me, and to encourage me. I really, really appreciate that. In this episode, we will listen to Sylvia's story. She was your typical 20-something-year-old woman in campus. She enjoyed spending time with her friends. She loved going out clubbing. And she was in a relationship with a man that she considered her best friend. Life was good. However, there was a nagging feeling that things weren't right. She couldn't quite put her finger on it, but something was happening in her body. Convinced that she might be suffering from stomach cancer, her parents accompanied her to a clinic to get checked out.
So I went to the doctor, and the doctor sent me for an an ultrasound scan. So I went in, and I laid on that bed, and the lights went off, and it was time to scan my tummy, right? So the guy who was doing my scan was silent, the whole way through. I didn't know what to expect. Okay, he gave me the nitty-gritties of what to expect, and then all of a sudden, he spins the screen and says, you're going to be a mom. I'm like, to what? To a cat? I had gone with my parents, both of my parents, to the ultrasound place. But it so happened that my mom also had to go to another appointment, I think in the CBD. So they both left, and I was left by myself. And they were like, you just go get the ultrasound. When you're done, just call me, and I'll be coming back anyways. But so if you're done earlier, just call me, right? A little context about my family is that I come from a very staunch Christian home. My dad was literally a military man. Everybody feared him. I think it had a lot with his childhood. And let's not dig into that. But he was the kind of person that was very authoritative, and what he said had to go, right? And of course I was the last one because I come from a family of 3. So 2 boys and I'm the only girl, right? So they left, and of course I was shaking because everybody around me was like, oh my gosh, she's dying of cancer, and this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna bury her. My friends were like, oh my God. Tell us how it goes. So went in, got the ultrasound. It's a boy. Um, but guess what? This is the the craziest thing that nobody ever believes me. But I was meant to deliver in a month.
So how did you find out that you're pregnant and then, oh, okay, you have a month left? Like, what do you mean? Did you not know?
Okay. So you're asking the same question that everybody asks, all right? So for a long time, I was a real sickling. So I had ulcers and I had medicines that the doctor had let me know would affect the normal operation of my body. So my menses would just be up and up, and also I suffer from hormonal imbalance. So a lot going on in my system. So when it was irregular, I was like, well, it is what it is, right? So I'm dating my then boyfriend, and now we are going to be parents, right? In 30 days, right? It's like coaching. I don't know. I don't know what was happening. Um, yo, it was. I walked out of that building with gel on my stomach. Literally with everything. Like I left and I said walking aimlessly on the road because in my head I was like, my parents are gonna kill me. I am literally dead, actually. So there's no point of surviving, right? I even remember missing the stage because at that particular point, that's when the southern bypass was being done. And they were digging. So where the stage was supposed to be, also where the stage was. So when I walked in and I was standing on that edge of the cliff, I was like, "Oh, do I just throw myself off and die in advance because there's no point, right?" But then again, when I'm standing there, my brother calls me, like just calls me when I'm contemplating. He's like, he's just telling me a bunch of some things I don't even know. He was searching for an internship for me because you had to get internship in university, right? So I told him, oh yeah, yeah, that's fine. I'll send you my CV. Yeah, yeah. I didn't really mean anything. And yeah, we'll talk. And I switched off my phone. So I went, got into the car. I went to the stage, got into a matatu, and I sat in. And I'm thinking, what do I do? Like, what can I do? Right? And you see, around us, we had so many things that are possibilities, right? You can run away or you can get an abortion, right? There are all these things that you've had and also witnessed people around you go through, right? And now you're contemplating what to do. There's a side of you that knows that, this is a being with its own heart and with its own mind, but still, this is my life. So what do I do? Yo, I cried in that matatu. I cried. I cried. Um, and my dad came back to the hospital and he's searching for me and he's calling me and I'm not picking up. Like I don't even know what to tell him. It's a lot. It's a lot. So I called my then boyfriend. And I told him, so we need to meet because yeah, shit has hit the fan, right? So he was at the gym. He like telling me the story after he was like, I almost died when I was in the gym. Okay. I almost fell with all the all the equipment myself. Literally not myself, right? Um, but he was also my best friend. We were very, very close. It wasn't just that was kind of general things where it's random. We actually used to be really, really close. Um so we met up, we talked, and he's like, but how? Like your stomach looks the same. My stomach looked like I had a small, like you see those bloated tummies where and I used to be a very small bodied person. I'm very tall, and I was also a very small bodied person. So you wouldn't even tell, right? But the craziest thing is reading the ultrasound report, my son was 1.2 kgs in weight, right? To be delivered in 30 days. And I have taken no supplements. Okay. I've done nothing, right? And the worst part is I used to have an actual party life then. So I was fine. Everything was just as normal, right? Like nothing needs to be off except some days when I would really go really, really crazy. Um, like I would feel off, right? But then you'd be thinking, it's just the way we go out and you don't eat well and you're having a hangover and you throw up and then you continue. So my friends couldn't believe it. Everyone around me was like, it's not a possibility. Where is that baby? Right? So I had a 1.2 kg child and I had 30 days to deliver and I don't know what to do. I don't know whether my child will be born normally. I don't even know what you're supposed to do as a mom. Like the lack of information is what killed me. People really need to talk about these things. Whether your child is gonna get pregnant at 20 or at 60 or whatever particular age, this conversation should be really, really candid, not just general, right? So I don't really remember vividly how my brother found out and everyone around me found out, but my brother found out and called my mom and let my mom know the news. Um, yeah, and then when you were talking with my boyfriend, he had let me know when you go home, just go through the motions. If they kick you out, then we're gonna figure out what we're gonna do. Okay, that's the craziest thing. I'm jobless. He's in school too. Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we doing? Are we raising a whole new human being, right? Um, we sat in silence when we met. We just sat in silence and looked at each other like, wow, this is where we are in life, right? So when I go home, I locked myself in my bedroom. I cried, I cried, I cried. My mom came. My mom had this whole conversation with me. I could see she's torn between between reprimanding me and being my mom, right? And also not showing like, oh my God, I'm hella excited about this, like trying to mitigate that emotion. And the worst thing that I could see on her face is the disappointment, right? Because of course, I'm too young to be a mom, right? Yeah, it's too early. So she gave me the whole shebang. And the only thing that I remember her saying is, now you know that your life has changed immediately. Now you know that you're about to be a mom. So yeah, so me told her, she asked me, what do you want to do? That was a very important question. And I told her, I really do not know what I want to do. Right? I told her, I know there are options, right? You can I don't know what adoption laws are here. I don't know what abortion laws are here. I don't know any, right? So she was like, well, number one, abortion is not of that chat. We're not doing that here. All right. We're also not putting your child out of adoption. So other options need to align, just not that. So, and then my dad came home. For some reason, he had traveled and then he came back home. And he asked, oh, by the way, I didn't get the report from your ultrasound. Are you okay? So he gets the report, and I can remember we're sitting in the living room, and he gets the report, and he gets his glasses. First, he reads it with all the glasses, and he's like, "Am I reading the correct thing? Like, someone hand me my glasses, yeah?" So puts on his glasses, and reads, and then he's like, "Ati, what?" Now he says it in Kikuyu. Are you pregnant? What? Then he throws the paper across the room and he starts yelling and going at me, right? And asking me all these questions, which, were crucial because you had to be asked, were you raped, right? Well, was it consensual? Do you know the person? Like, those are important questions that he asked, right? But he then later told me that, okay, now your life is practically over, and you have to move out of this house. So I'm 20, I'm jobless, I'm in uni, nothing. Like, there's nothing to be done there, right? So my mom had to be the one to talk to him and calm him down and let him know that this, you can't kick her out, right? Like, she has to stay home. This is where she knows. So yeah, I started going to the clinic. I got all the necessary things I need to get when you're about to deliver. All of a sudden there's a book with a child on it, and you have to like, it was so weird. We really take for granted how starting your motherhood journey from the first month that you find out, and people don't understand how important that is. I never used to really understand why we have 9 months, but now I understand why we have 9 months. We have 9 months to acclimate the fact that you're about to bring a whole new being onto this planet, right? But my 9 months were a crash course of 30 days. Sometimes we go through traumatic events and you're numb. It's like, whatever comes today, and I'm dealing with it, and that's that, right? Like, things are happening. It's like a whole movie. It's like you're watching an out of body experience. Like, you see it in movies, and it's a joke. That happened where I'm in clinics with other women, and it feels like, I'm not supposed to be here. Why am I here? You're being told all this conversation. There are gynecologists, all up in you. And it's just different, and it's very traumatic. And I didn't really get that beauty of, pregnancy. I know there are those tough times, but there's also this journey that is very crucial. I didn't get that. So I really resented motherhood. I resented being pregnant. I just felt like I'm the shell. But also, being who I am, I'm a very self-conscious person, and my conscience is very, very alive. So I I was like, okay, this is my choice, right? So I have to stick with this child, and I have to ensure that I do everything that I can. So that means eating correct, taking my supplements, going to clinics, just ensuring that I did my level best with the time that I had. So regardless of what happens to my child, whether he's born he's a stillbirth, or he's born, premature, whatever is going to happen, then I need to know that my conscience is clean. So my mom used to go to the clinic every time with my mom, and we get the whole ultrasound scans within those weeks. And she would ask the doctor, "How do you see whether that child has legs? And does that child have? Does that child have hands? Is the brain intact? Like, all these questions, she'd always be sitting next to the doctor, like, yeah, tell me, show me what's happening." And then she's like, "Hey, but I can't. Are you sure?" Like, those are the questions you ask all the time, because I can imagine what was going through her head, right? She's like, "Oh my God, is this child even a child? What are we giving birth to at this particular point?" It was hell. It was hell. But for some reason, my classmates were really, really cool. They would help me with my books, carry my bags, give me food, ensure that I got home sick. Like, all this community within my circle, they came in and they really, really helped me down. And in a way that offsetted the whole effect. So fast forward, it's contraction day, right? Oh God. So I come from school, and we're having our end of semester exams, and The delivery date was skewed for December 16th, right? So I knew I still had some days, to do my stuff and be wrapped up, right? So I'm chilling with some friends of mine in the neck of the woods. And as usual, I had these cravings for raw mangoes. Like, if you gave me any ripe mango, I would cry. I don't know why, but I would really cry. Or if you didn't give me salted fish, you gave me like, it was just a will. Like, I didn't even understand how people go through those cravings. But now it was a crash course, right? So I get home and I'm chilling with my mom. And as usual, I used to go to my room. Like, I used to very isolate myself very, very much because, of the situation that was happening around the house. Watching a movie, then all of a sudden there's just this pressure and pain. Like, it comes and goes. But I'm like, no, the delivery date was supposed to be on the 16th. Never did I know that you could actually give birth earlier, because again, these are things that nobody ever tells you. Like, I don't know. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe people are told, I wasn't, right? So the contractions start coming. And I tell my mom, yo, I'm feeling weird. I don't feel okay. It's not those normal kicks and pulls. This is different. So she's like, oh my God, okay. My mom was also as, I don't know what was happening with her, but she looked clueless. I don't know what. She's like, okay, what is give birth in the house? Like, what are you gonna do? What are you supposed to do? I'm like, I don't know, let's Google. So we Googled and it was what are you supposed to have some sterile stuff like blades and string, a lot of different things to take the umbilical cord. So but I'm like, Mom, but I can't give birth right now. I mean, I'm supposed to give birth on the 16th because I have exams, right? So yeah, that didn't stop. So it kept going and the contractions continued, right? So my dad had to be pulled in from work and he had to come home, grab me. And guess what that day was? Just December 11th. That was the day that the contractions came. So it was a day before an actual public holiday. So we drive all the way to the hospital and we get there and my heart is pounding because I don't even understand what to expect on the other side of the door, right? And the worst thing is, in the hospital that I was taken to, it's a Catholic hospital, and they didn't allow people like your community members inside the ward. Like, it had to be only you, right? So I don't know why, but yeah. So I walk in, my mom settles me in, and they're told that they have to leave. So they leave, and I'm left in. I cannot begin to explain what the amount of shock that I went, okay? Because with what there are women that are yelling and wheeling and some are on the bed, they are rolling around. I don't know what was happening. It looked like a psych ward. Like, their hairs are weird and crazy. I'm like, where is this? Why am I here? What am I doing here? I don't know. What am I supposed to be doing here exactly? So the nurse told me, "Oh, you need to get your bed needs to be here so they can see you." So the bed that I was given, I was assigned at that particular point, was a woman that was right next to me. She was really, really close to delivering. So her contractions were crazy and she was yelling and pulling her hair. It was just a lot. So I closed the curtain because I was like, that can never be me. Like, why would I be yelling at that? I am a proper human being, right? So my contractions, when I go in and the nurse measured my cervix size was 2 centimeters at that particular point. It had open only 2 centimeters. So she's like, you have time, right? So for me, my contractions were not that crazy at night. They were there, but weren't that crazy. So just, waiting. And my queue, I've not eaten. I don't know why, but I didn't have an appetite. So in the morning, they were like, this chick, nothing is happening. So we had to induce her. Those were the last part. I'm like, oh, so they're inducing me? Yeah, they're inducing me because, like it needs to, move faster, with less pain, of course. Yeah, and you're going to deliver. Yeah, and it's gonna be awesome, right? Yo. So my contraction started at 6 in the morning. I mean, sorry, 6 in the evening. And then all the way through the night, I couldn't sleep. Was still wake me up, right? So I've not slept, no rest, no eating, nothing. So 6 in the morning, I've been induced, right? So those are what, 8 hours? Or those are 8 hours, 12 hours. Yes. So for 12 hours, I've been in labor, my queuing, no delivering. So I'm induced. Everything just went nuts. All right. I am, I'm sitting inside the bucket. I keep going to the loo and telling them that they should give me tissue because I need to go and use the bathroom. All right. And they give me the tissue, but they're not telling me that, there's nothing that's going to happen at this particular point. Like, nobody's telling me that. So I'm thinking, oh, I need to go to the loo. Then there's nothing. Okay. Then I go back. Right. Then it kept getting worse where there's pressure at the front, pressure at the back. Like, I don't know what's happening. Right. Um, I hear people say that their water breaks, naturally, even in the movie. Mine didn't break for some reason, right? So it had to be done manually. That was the most painful experience of my life. Okay. No pain meds. No pain meds. This is what we are doing. We are going through hell. Okay. And looking back, I'm like, people don't talk about how intrusive it is for different doctors to come and check your vulva every single time. It's so intrusive. Like I read somewhere, and I don't know where this term needs to be validated, but it's defined as medical rape. But people don't talk about it, right? Because it's So I hated that process and became so personal. Like, why would anybody do that to me, right? Why would anybody do that to any woman?
And the crazy thing that happens is that they make your process a little bit more riskier because they're introducing infections or points of infection. Another thing that I learned very quickly, this is where we lose our dignity, because if you can't even protect whoever and whatever is going inside your vagina right now, right? By the time you leave that hospital after you've given birth, you've lost all sense of dignity that you ever had. It's gone.
Thank you very much. It is gone. It's back with your brothers and sisters. It is left station. It's disappeared. I'm like, why am I being punished for bringing new life? Like, it's supposed to protect me. Yeah, nobody protected me. Nobody has protected any of our mothers and sisters and aunties. So, my water is broken. Yes, I'm checked. And now, for some reason, there's blood and nuclear everywhere. And I'm running into the showers, trying to shower to see whether it will relieve my pain. I'm in buckets. I'm under the bed. The doctor is trying to tell me you need to get out under that bed. Right? Like, just not the best. And like, you're gonna kill your child, you need to get out of that bed, right? And the doctor made me walk around as they're holding on me because at this point I'm fatigued. Also, I'm not 10 for so long, so my energy is low. And then I didn't even have the strength to do anything. So I was wheeled in to the ward, I think at around 9:30 or 10 thereabouts, because I remember I could hear the Uhuru speech. So we walk into the theater, and now I don't have the energy to push. So, and then the craziest thing is you're being told push. Me, all I had to do is just, I did it with my face. I wasn't bringing it down there. I was doing it. Yes. So they're not, when you push, like, they're like, yo, that's not what we should be doing, right? We need to push down there, right? So the doctor, I had two men with me during delivery, not a woman inside, okay? Let's even talk about it, but it's fine. So one of them took a stair right next to me and is pushing my tummy down because I had no energy. Yeah, so pushed me, pushed, and now the alien section of it is now you're about to deliver a child, right? So I felt the entire motion of head exiting, but now I had to get the chair. So I got the chair, and so I got the chair and whole shebang. Okay, so yeah, the head, the shoulders, the legs, everything. You feel it, right? And the craziest thing is that everybody around me was just talking about how they're gonna go party on Saturday. Like, oh, yeah, we're gonna go party. Yeah, even we're gonna go there. I'm like, yo, what are we doing? Are we delivering or are we figuring out what we're gonna be? Are you guys serious? Like, oh my god. So I delivered the child, right? Of course, there's blood everywhere. It's just crazy. Now, what they did tell me is, now it's time for you to deliver the placenta. I'm like, what? What? What is I done here? Yeah, so deliver the placenta, and now it's time to stitch. I have never felt immense pain in my life. Okay. Huh. The only thing that they gave me was when they're stitching me. That's the point at which that they gave me, I think, an antibiotic shot and something else. I can't remember. There were two shots, and they didn't even tell me what they were shooting up me. Just shot and continued. It's like we don't matter unless we can have a conversation, right? So they're like, oh, now you can get up and go see the child. I'm like, I don't care about that child. I do not care, right? And actually, I was walking out with my gown, like laced with blood, because I just wanted to get out of that theater. I'm like, it's like, you need to go see a child. So they forced me to go see him. I'm like, oh, okay, fine, cool. I walked out. I went back to the bed. And inside that particular ward, being stripped naked in front of everyone. And then people don't talk about how you shake because of the loss of blood. Shivering. Nobody talks about that. So, yeah, shivering, my last end. And I walked myself out of the theater, no wheelchair, no nothing. Went and entered the bed that I was assigned, and I just covered myself because all I wanted to feel is not those contractions at that particular point. All I wanted to feel is that my sanity was just, going back to where it's supposed to be. But I could feel it leaving my head. It was just not okay, right? So they bring the child, and me, I felt nothing. I really could care less, honestly. And when you say that as a mom, people are like, what's wrong with you? But they don't understand. Like, the amount of information that people give you is so limited. That's number one. So they don't prepare you. And also the love and the protection is supposed to be given during that process is not there. Unless you really pay for it though. Like, I don't know whether those actually, because I never delivered in high, private expensive type of hospital. I don't know. So we still paid in this one, right? But still.
And you've just gone through a very traumatic birth. So it's very hard to be expected to look at this person as, the blessing. The point it's this, he's the reason you were there dying.
Yeah. And everybody walks in, my parents and everyone that were waiting outside they come in, and my friends at that particular point, they're like, oh, oh, your baby is so cute, Nini. I'm like, yeah, mm-hmm, that's for him. So, like, then with unlimited short notice and something that like nobody ever tells you, they had to stick a gas up my vulva, and then they asked me after 30, I think 30 minutes or so, or 20 minutes, I had to go into the bathroom and pull it out myself because of the amount of blood that is coming out. Yes, so I had to go and do it myself. Yeah. Then you had to come onto the bed and they had to test me for HIV. So imagine you just got from delivery. Now you have to figure out whether you actually have HIV or not. Like, I want that was a normal human being. Okay? Now I'm a mom. So me this whole point I'm just numb because what is happening, nobody cares. Right? So I moved to the ward because I had to stay overnight and they had to assess me. So my child, at this particular point, it's time for the first poop. Yo, nobody ever prepared me for that because I was like, what is happening at this particular point? Like, who is this human being pooping this type of poop? Like, it was just be okay, everything was happy about that process. And the fact that we also had to sit on salt in the morning, like, can we just talk about it? Where you wake up in the morning and you're handed a pack of salt and you're told to walk into the washroom and you dip yourself in salt. Actually, they had given us tools. I was like, me, I'm not using that tool. Why? Like some people were using that tool, but they're like, you have to use that tool. I cleaned that tool multiple times, but I still felt the ache. I'm like, yo, you're not protecting me. Why am I not feeling protected at this particular point?
Let's talk about that mental state, right? That after delivery, here's my baby. How do you even reconcile the fact that this one is actually mine? That he's here.
I honestly can't even explain because I the first time that I started feeling that kind of emotion towards my child, he was I think 4 months. Yeah, he was at 4 months. And between then I was I was in a haze. I just felt like this is just another piece of work that has to be done, right? And I'm the host, and I have to host this guest because he's here, right? Because number one, you are not getting any sleep. Because again, I thought when you deliver a baby, they'll just be sleeping and you'll also be sleeping, right? Nothing. So I'm not right. Okay. I'll sit on salt every 2 or 4 hours, right? Every morning I have to put this other baby in the sun so that they don't get jaundice, right? Um, I have to eat well because this baby needs nutritious milk, right? So I just felt like, it's like I don't know how to explain it, but it's like a project. Yes, I need to be fulfilled, and you're the center project manager. That's just how I felt, right? And it was very isolating and different. I lost myself. I didn't even know who I was, and at that particular point, I I really hated the whole motherhood thing. Even when my baby would cry, I would take some minutes to go soothe him. Like I would just wait. And I after in a while that I got out of that haze, I used to feel so bad. I used to feel like I'm the worst human being on this planet because there are people who suffer from infertility issues. There are people who really want this child, right? There are people who actually die during delivery, but I'm here and I'm still not acting like I should, based on societal standards, of course. And also the community around me was not very accepting of my child. They just and not what and my journey as a mom, like I had to be isolated completely. And they would speak a lot of different and hurtful things towards me. And it was just not the best situation, really. So I didn't have the time, the moment to acclimate to everything. The only moment that I started acclimating to it was when now I was gearing to go back to school because I'd taken as a leave. I leave from school. Yeah, semester break. So I had to go back to school. That's when I started like, being like, oh God, I'm actually a mom because of how I saw my colleagues, my fellow students within the class, how their lives were different, right? Like they would get up and be like, oh yeah, today we're going to party in the evening. And I'm like, oh yeah, I can't do that. Like I have to go back home and have a child, right? So it was not the best, honestly. And part of me feels like I would love a redo. Yeah, I'd love a redo where there are pictures of me in a pump, there's those enjoying both kicks and everything, like just the whole procedure and everything. And just, I wish I had that redo.
And let's talk about like a day in school, right? Were you, because I'm assuming you're breastfeeding, were you pumping?
So here's the craziest thing. I used to have all these milk spills on my clothes because I assumed or I felt embarrassed to be pumping. And there are no pump areas in school because you're not supposed to be a mom in school. You're supposed to be concentrating on your books, right? So this is the punishment for, not waiting, right? So I used to wait until I go home to pump. So the amount of clean that used to be in used to be in gorge all the effing time when I was at school. You guys, it was just the worst feeling. And you have to concentrate on the books. You have to study for these exams, right? It was just, it was hell. And I'd lose some milk. I'd wake up with some, my boobs, because I used to have a lot of milk. Also, they're like craziest thing. So, yeah, I used to be pain all the time.
Oh man, I'm so sorry. And what was your support system at that point?
So my boyfriend and I, at that particular point, were not seeing eye to eye because to him, of course, he's fully in his 20s, doing his thing, enjoying his life, right? And, he ain't got time for that, right? He ain't got time for all that. He has to go and actually do some other things that dudes do, right? And I didn't have him. And I'll talk about that in a few. Yeah, I didn't have him. Honestly, I only had my mom because also my friends at a particular point didn't know what to do. Yes, they would pull up sometimes and be like, oh yeah, we've come to see you. Here are some gifts. Let's banter, and yeah, let's leave. But they were not really there with me. So it was just me and my mom. That's it. That was the entire support system that I had, honestly. And maybe some people that are quite, but those are not really holding me down. So yes, my mom really, really, really held me down. She went with me through those moments where my child will be crying and I'm crying because I don't understand why I cannot be able to sleep. Like she really held me down, and yeah, I don't take that for granted.
Wow, that's amazing. At least, so she would be the one to take care of your son when you're in school.
Yeah, yeah. For some weird reason, when I was delivering, she was also going into retirement. So yeah, she would be the person with my child. So my child is usually so in love with her, like yeah, and I understand why. So we so since he wasn't in his space. I mean, in the space to be a parent, right? So I had to take the parent reins, and we fell apart. And I resented him. Oh, I resented that human being. I resented everything about him because I was like, why am I the person who's suffering here? Why is the person that I have to deviate my entire life and focus on being a mom? Yet you get to live your life. Like, couldn't fathom, right? So Honestly, it took us a long, long time to a point where, he was dating other people. I was dating other people. Like life was moving, right? And I remember when I got out of when I graduated and now I was employed, that was a whole other whirlwind. Oh my god. That unlocked my postpartum depression on another whole level. I only I only found out that I was going through postpartum depression um after when my child was 4 years. But when I was going through it, my child was what, an year old? Yeah. So I would be working. I used to work from Monday to Sun. I mean, so sorry, from Tuesday to Sunday. So I rarely saw my child. Okay. But I had to also commit to ensuring that he's fed, there's milk, all these things, right? There's stress at work. I am barely being at a mom to my child. My partner is out here living his best life. So it's all me. I remember I came up from work and I sat at a stage in town and I cried. Like I broke down. Like it was so overwhelming to me because I was like, I'm failing at every corner of my life. I do not have a family. I'm not a proper mom. There's all these things that people say that you're supposed to be as a mom, right? You're supposed to be home. You're supposed to commit to being a mom 24/7. You're supposed to have a career. And even if you have a career, then, you're supposed to be making like a lot of money, right? Like you're supposed to be winning every corner of your life. So you can imagine the expectation. And I'm not meeting that expectation because the job that I had at that particular point was not paying a lot of money. So, and I had to mitigate those waters. So, and then I'm now processing the trauma from birth. Like everything to me happened at a crash course, and it was just too much for me. Like, I do this. It's too much for anyone.
So what kind of steps, or like how did you finally start making your way out of that conundrum?
The day that I realized that, and I don't know whether we're allowed to curse on this show, but you can bleep me. Yeah. It's the day I realized that I really don't give a fuck. Like the fucks flew out of the building, and I realized that I don't really care anymore. Whatever you guys think or whatever is expected of me, I just cannot fulfill it, and that's not me. And I remember when I never used to really buy anything that affirmed me. Like if I decided I want to buy a nice dress, I never used to buy it because I was like, I don't deserve it, right? When I decided that I wanted to go out and, have a meal with some friends, I felt like I don't deserve it. I felt like I don't deserve anything, right? The day I woke up and I realized I'm going to die in my depression bed and I'm a young human being. Because the discovery of who I was and mourning that girl and now arising and being the new Sylvia, that moment was deep. So when I got out of that phase of the depression phase, of the acceptance phase, the anger phase, I got to the point of I don't really give any Fs anymore. And I start discovering who I am. And how I started discovering who I am is I left the job that I was in at that particular point and I got into entrepreneurship. I am a mom and I don't have a stable job, right? So I really need to hustle. So I had a company with my brothers. Oh my God, yes. It was called Pristine Windows. So we do car window restoration. So this girl right here, I used to have an overall in my hat and my gloves, and I'm scrubbing out here, right? And I used to enjoy the the sceneries of the motions of everything, because every time I would go to attend to a client's car, they would see me, they'll be like, what is this girl? What is this girl doing here? Like, and when she speaks, it doesn't sound like, she doesn't know what the hell she's saying. So what's happening? Yeah, what's wrong here, And not computing. And I mean the most fanciest of cars. Like cars that you'd never imagine even owning, right? And the little that I would make, of course, and still I was still living at home. So I would ensure that I am, feeding my child and, at this point was in school and there's so many things that are happening, right? But I knew that still that was not the ceiling. So, and life really changed through my entrepreneurship journey because Pristine Windows was not the only thing that I ended up doing. I got into confectionery. I used to make homemade jam and sell. I used to make liquor infused gummy bears, and I'd sell them, and I'd make a lot of money, crazy amount of money. But again, one thing that I lacked, and this is what fueled my current company, is I did not have that knowledge on how to run a business because I did not see anyone around me killing it. Like, where's that female that is killing it? Nobody really used to talk about it, right? So I'll only see men killing it. I'll be like, maybe I'm in the wrong field. Maybe I should just go back to the office, right? So after doing all that, and then COVID came, and I was like, okay, maybe it's time for me to go back to corporate. So I tried corporate, and corporate taught me a lot, honestly. I wouldn't take that for granted, but it still did not feel enough because it was just something to an end, right? That's how it fizzled out of it. And I began my first term through, back into entrepreneurship as a freelance. I became a VA. So this was unseen, unheard of in this country. Like, yo, because let's talk about the culture shock of working with people that are not Kenyan. The expectation, the judgment on, are you even able to, use a computer, able to speak, you know, grammar, yes, able to like I had to really prove myself, It's like I'm trying to validate myself and my capabilities to these people. And again, like people don't understand that schematic of, you're only Kenyan. Kenyan people really understand you, right? Until you start speaking to people that are not Kenyan, that's when you realize, what? Like, there's a whole different spectrum. You need to show up and show out. Like, these people don't really care about, your grandmother, your mother. They don't care about that. They care about what I need to be showing up and doing, right? That really improved how I move, how I think, how I show up into different spaces. And since then, I became a VA. I trained VAs, and now I'm a VA mentor. And we're actually working on, getting master classes for these virtual assistants. Any person who wants to be a VA can come in, learn it because it's a whole other, it's a whole other monkey. So, but so far, all I can say is the things that I appreciate the most, or the key takeaways that I got from motherhood is motherhood is not for everyone. Let's not make it the level of, we measure you based on how many children you have. Like, geez, let's not. Let's drop that. All right? Because we are more than just our womb. So that was hard for me to swallow.
How do you think your journey could have gone differently?
I would have definitely preferred it to be at a point in my life where I understood myself. And I understood how, like, my entire being and the things that I care for, the things that I don't care for, and not waiting for other people to let me know that, but they should align here, this is what you should do. Like, I would have had more time to know me as an individual, because that's one thing that I missed out on. I didn't get to experience that. And that's important. It's very, very important to know yourself. Would have also been, I know people say that when you plan for a child and, and all that, that it makes it's a good thing. Yes, it's a good thing, but can't plan everything. But I would have wished to be, at a better financial state, definitely. I would have wished to be in supportive, you know, um, let's say family setup, because again, having a partner, and people take this for granted. I was a single mom for a few years, like I was a single mom, I think from my child was born till he was like 5. So that was hard. Okay. Because you're the main driver, you can't even put time off. Like if anything, if a shoe drops, it's on you. Like it is you, it's you. Yeah. Like it's important to have a partner, and mostly not a figurative partner, but a supportive partner who understands you as a human being and also like holds you when you really need it the most. So yeah, I would have loved to have an intact family at that particular point.
Did you resolve things with your boyfriend at the time? Now,
Yes, we did. It was a lot. Oh my God, it has taken a lot. It has taken therapy, Jesus with his angels, everything, because that trauma and those experiences never leave you, and it's hard for you to come to forgiveness and to like, what, I went through that, I came out of it, and now I'm here, and I need to, structure the type of life that I want. So yes, and I won't lie. Sometimes it comes back to me, like like. Then again, you have to you shake it out of me. You're like, okay, well, like don't make every we used to make every argument like based on that. You are you're like that used to be the basis of everything. If you did something, I would wrap it up and bring it up and be like, yeah, even you, yeah, and that's very toxic, but also fair, because again, I process the way I process. So yeah, and also just the underlining thing that I couldn't forgive is that you got to live your life. I didn't. So I had to lay down my life for my experiences and everything that I had planned to be a mom.
did you ever feel, or do you ever feel like you finally started living your life now?
Every damn day. Okay? Like I am very, very unapologetic about it. And everyone who knows me knows that. Yeah. Every single day I'm living it. Every single damn day. And every woman who, even a young girl, we know you're not a mom and you're a young woman, and I can see, there are things in you that you need to really start shedding off. Very vocal about it. I'm not intrusive, but I'm very open and honest. I think that process made me very supportive, very equipped, and I relate a lot to women and the challenges that you go through in business, in corporate, in motherhood, in relationship, all the corners, in friendships, like everything, whole thing. So me being a mentor is very, very aligned to, my story and everything that I've been through. Yeah. Yeah. My second key takeaway is postpartum depression is real. Never let anyone tell you that it ain't real. And I think it's mostly based on, the environment that you're in, the situations around you, the journeys of motherhood, the acclamation to motherhood, and shedding your old self. Because every time that you bring a new life, you do realize you're starting from scratch with this new life. So you're learning a whole new version of you. I don't know whether that's the same case with you, having kids, but every single time, every single time. So that shift and that choice, like, okay, I'm Sylvia now, but after, and my son is called Jamari. After Jamari, these are whole new other Sylvia, right? Yes. So you have to learn her, who is she? So that is real, and never downplay that. It's normal, it's real, and it's okay to go through the emotions. You're not a failure, you're not the worst human being to ever live. No, you're just another human being dealing with another life-changing moment.
I don't think I would have done too well knowing that I only had a month before my baby. That's way too short of notice for something that's potentially as life-changing. Not potentially, for something that is as life-changing as being a mom. I felt for her when she talked about her birth experience, being put in a room alone to go through all this, no one telling you anything, no one there to support you, all the while thinking that a month ago this was not a thing. This was the farthest thing from her worries. But I think she's done well. She's done well to build herself up. It might have taken some time, but it happened. I want to thank Sylvia so much for sharing her story with us today. Sylvia Amboy is a mom of one living in Nairobi, Kenya, and is the founder of Marsly Digital Group, a social impact organization focused on offering mentorship to entrepreneurs and with the possibility of offering capital investment in the near future. You can check out her work through her website, which I will link in the show notes of this episode. Music in this episode from Blue Dot Sessions. Thank you for listening. Catch you in the next one. Bye.